This program is brought to you by Simulus Clothing, official title sponsors of Formula Virtual Racing. But wait, there's more. Check out the official Formula Virtual Racing merchandise line out now exclusively to Simulus Clothing. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the program.
maybe it's my own fault. Maybe I led you to believe my highlights started on the podium and not in practice.
The legend Rosenberg is a 4-time champion of the world.
Maybe I made you think that every race I did, I won.
2 litres in the tank for legend Rosenberg, rounding through the final corner. Does the greatest to ever do it, but if he doesn't, Scutts and David steals it at the yard of bricks.
Maybe it's my fault that you think I'm unbeatable. Maybe I led you to believe that championships were given to me and not something I worked for every single day. Maybe I destroyed the league, or maybe you're just making excuses. Maybe you can beat me. Come and try.
And it's a warm welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Jeddah Corniche circuit here in Saudi Arabia. It's round number 3 of the Formula Virtual Racing Season 13 World Championship. And what a corker we have coming up for you here this evening, live from the streets of Saudi Arabia. It's bound to be an intriguing one. My name's Evan Dalton. It's a pleasure to be with you once again here on this fine evening. I am running solo tonight. No Nils Hartle, no Brendan alongside me. So it'll just be the one voice that is ringing through your head. But we've got a fantastic grid of drivers coming up. We've got a fantastic race. And I tell you what, it's been very, very intriguing from the offset this championship season. You can see the standings on your screen now. Nathan Marriott is currently leading the Formula Virtual Racing World Drivers' Championship. Yes, you are correct to be shocked. That is bizarre beyond belief. Tyler Davison in second, only 2 points behind after 2 consistent rounds in both Spa and Monza. Avesta Gabadi in third. However, Avesta serving a race suspension this evening for his actions in the Autodromo Nazionale Monza. Then it is Sam Fate in fourth. He's not here this evening because, well, he's just on holiday or something. And then it is Kandoka in fifth, who's not here this evening because he's at the Hungarian Grand Prix. So we're down a few of the front runners. Qualifying going to be an interesting one here, though. Usually you tip your hat towards a legend Rosenberg Paul, but that's not going to be happening here this evening, as he serves a qualifying suspension for picking up 6 penalty points last round. Yes, in the one round he picked up the 6 penalty points and will serve a qualifying suspension. So Paul could really go to anyone here. There's a lot of drivers struggling with this track. It's very, very difficult, and in practice sessions that have gone on throughout the week, it has left a lot to be desired. But here is Conor Rochford, who is currently on his qualifying lap, heading down towards turn number 13. It is a 6.174 kilometre circuit, 3.836 miles. There's 27 corners, which is a record for a Formula 1 circuit on the current calendar. It's 16 to the left and 11 to the right. Lewis Hamilton currently holding the track record from 2021. Only been 4 or 3 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. It's been 4 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. And 3 of them have been won, or 3 or 2 of them have been won by Max Verstappen. I believe it's 2 of them have been won by Max Verstappen. Yes, because Sergio Perez won one and Lewis Hamilton won the other. In terms of Formula Virtual Racing, we've had a World Championship decided here. Legend Rosenberg won his 2nd world title here in Saudi Arabia. Luke Davies won his 1st world title and won that race as well here in Saudi Arabia. Tyler Davison's won a race here for Alfa Romeo back in Season 5. Here's Conor Rochford then coming up towards the start-finish line. Let's see where he goes. He's managed to go 3rd, 7/10 of a second off his new teammate. But it's currently Thomas Main back in his Ferrari that is the man setting the times. Let's see what Luke Davies can do. Up towards the start-finish line, he's growing more comfortable into this new McLaren. He's certainly getting more used to it as time goes on. That's going to be a 3rd place for the time being. Lewis McWilliam returns for a one-off here this evening, standing in for Vestigo Badi while he serves that suspension. Lewis will just be doing the one race this season, or at least that is the plan in that Red Bull machine. And he's coming around the final couple of corners now to end his first qualifying attempt. Lewis not necessarily expecting to be on the pace. He played this game for the first time last night, but he does manage to beat Luke Davies, and he manages to go to 3rd. A Red Bull of Lewis McWilliam against the McLaren of Luke Davies brings nice memories back to the historians of Formula Virtual Racing. There goes Alessandro Serretti, the Swiss native, goes to 3rd. One behind the British driver, so just losing out to England once again is Switzerland. But a little bit down the order, then Timden Higher and the Williams still looking at the time, as is your championship leader, Nathan Marriott. You can see a slight lock-up into the first corner for the Aston Martin, but he will carry on his way to try and retain his championship lead. He won his first ever Formula Virtual race in Monza last week, and that means we've had 13 seasons, and in every season there has been one new race winner. So we've never had a season where someone doesn't win a debut race. Hopefully that's not the only one we get this season. It'll be very interesting to see some other drivers win races, but Nathan Marriott the only one doing it so far. He heads through turn number 13 down towards turn number 14 and then in towards the right-hander of turn number 15, and it's a quick flick back left in towards turn number 16. 16 taken flat, but you do got to be careful not to clip that one on the outside. Your entry into 15 manages your line in through 16. Then it's flat out over these new widened curbs here in Saudi Arabia for one of the most difficult corners on the calendar. Flick into the left-hander under the hotel. And Nathan has not done too shabby a job on that one indeed. The Aston Martin down towards the final corner. You got to just maximise your braking here, but not be too greedy, because you don't want to lock up and completely miss this apex. And you can see Nathan does actually hit that nicely, rotates the car in using all the exit that he can, just close to that Aramco sponsorship, but not quite hitting it, and then across the start-finish line. This will be a 28.6 for Nathan Marriott. That's going to be enough for 7th place so far in qualifying, and he will be one of the 10 to complete a hot lap so far. But it's Thomas Main who is quickest of the bunch. Is that actually... I say Thomas is quickest of the bunch. Alessandro Serretti is 3/10 off pole on a medium compound of tyre. That means he's very quick once he puts on a set of softs. He's actually on 2/10 purple in that first sector. So it's safe to say Alessandro has good pace, or at least that's what we think so far. It's safe to say that he is a quick racing driver, and he could well go near the top of the order on this set of mediums, not even the softest compound available. And if you're new to Formula 1 or to sim racing, there's the soft, medium and the hard tyre. The soft is the quickest, but won't last as long, but that is traditionally always used in qualifying by the entire grid, unless when we did have the Q2 tyre row, but that's long gone, so we don't need to think about that. Alessandro Serretti is throwing it back and trying to qualify on a set of the mediums. Obviously wants to save a set of softs for the Grand Prix. For the final corner then comes the Mercedes of Alessandro Serretti, and he's coming up towards the start-finish line. Let's see what he can do. Is it going to be quicker than Thomas Main's 27.6? It's not quite, but it is enough for the front row of the grid, and that's a scary prospect for everybody else. Remember, Alessandro Serretti has never lost a Formula Virtual race. He's only done 2 of them, which when you say he's only done 2, it does make that statistic less impressive. But he did win the final 2 rounds of Season 12 in Austria and in Abu Dhabi. He's looking to go 3 from 3 here in Saudi Arabia. Didn't race the first 2 rounds of the season. He is only a stand-in driver, currently standing in for Jake Marsh in that Mercedes. But He's a quick stand-in driver, which can cause problems for some of the other main drivers on the field. There goes Borbune. He's going to improve to 9th, just ahead of Tyler Pistilli, but still 2 seconds off the pace. It's Jafel Penguru, the German, who's in the Kick Sauber, partnering with Leroy Vincendel for this season. That was the last pick of the FVR draft, actually, if you are still thinking about that draft and the teammate selections. That was the last pick was this team, but it's a decent driver lineup, the German and the Dutch driver. And I mean, if one of them can score points at least once this season, they're kind of matching Sauber's performance in real life Formula 1. But here's Jaffa Penguru rotating the car in nicely. Oh, that was an aggressive flick through there, but managed to manage it okay, and he's kept the car pointing the right direction, which is usually beneficial on your first qualifying lap of the evening. In towards the left hand, and then 101.5 in that middle sector. Despite making that mistake, that's not awfully shabby for Jaffa Penguru. There's definitely some slower times on the board, so a good final sector here for Jaffa, and he might be able to jump himself just up a tad bit. You can see there is a Red Bull in front. I believe that is Lewis McWilliam on his outlap, so we'll get a bit of a slipstream from the Oracle Red Bull racing machine in front. Here is Jaffa, then where's this time going to put him? It's going to put him 8th, and that's fairly competitive. So I don't think he'll be too sad with that one. Tyler Davison currently on his next hot lap, but he is just saving everything because clearly has made a mistake or something in that first sector. He's actually going to give Luke Davies a bit of a slipstream here. I would be inclined to think this is planned somewhat, although Luke is not actually tucking into that slipstream, so maybe it isn't. And they've just come across each other on the same part of the circuit, completely coincidental. Here is Luke Davies in towards that final corner now, nails the braking nicely and rotates out of it. Remember, it was a last lap overtake into that corner. That, what is Luke doing? Weaving down the straight. He's gone 5th, but was he trying to break toe while going towards the finish line? Okay, that's a peculiar decision from Luke Davies, but I mean, I'm sure there's some reason behind it, because he did for a reason, the weave, and still did improve to beat Lewis McWilliam. I'll keep an eye on what Lewis is tracking. He's done a 1 flat 5 in the middle sector, just under a 1/10 of a second up on his time, 0.073 to be exact. Here comes the Scotsman then in towards the final corner. The man who had a very successful season 8 with Red Bull in Red Bull machinery. He's looking to maybe pick up a one-off magical return win here tonight in Saudi Arabia. Up towards the finish line, and that'll be 4th for Lewis McWilliam. That's a good time indeed. He'll be very happy with that one. 3.5 of a second off the pole time at Thomas Main, but pole is not what he's going for this evening, despite having his record tied by Legend Rosenberg last time out. 37 pole positions apiece for Lewis McWilliam and Legend Rosenberg. The next driver below that is Avesta Gobadi, who I believe is on 11 or something like that, which goes to show just how dominant those two have been in qualifying. Purple middle sector for Tyler Davison. 6 minutes to go in qualifying. Can the Alpine maybe jump back onto that front row of the grid? We do assume that the two in front of him will go quicker at least 1 point more here this evening, seeing as Soretti set his time in the mediums. Oh, that's awfully close to pole position for Tyler Davison. 0.017 for the Alpine. And the Ferrari just about still edging ahead of it. Thomas Main doing a good job. Nathan Marriott, championship leader, currently in 7th, heading down towards the final corner. Let's ride on board with the Briton. Here he comes then, up towards the start-finish line, and that's not going to be enough for a positional improvement, but he does put a nice healthy gap between himself and the rest of the field. It seems like Nathan Marriott might be in a little bit of no man's land here tonight, because 3/10 to the car in front, 8/10 to the car behind. Tyler Pistilli doing his usual hot lap program of just going out in a set of softs for the entire session. The Canadian, his fellow Canadian, of Adrian Tishy, is right in front, and that's wide. Heading for the first sector for Tishy. Oh, he's done very well as Tyler Pistilli's just clobbered the wall. Just as we're looking at Sector 1, both Canadian drivers making mistakes. Adrian Tishy just has a bit of a wobble round, but manages to keep it out of the barriers. Tyler Pistilli completely clobbering it into the Armco. So, one Canadian out of qualifying, the other just about surviving into it, and that's going to be another spin for Adrian Tishy. The car mechanics on that one were quite peculiar, but Adrian does keep it out of the wall once again. I think he just needs to just coast that one home to the pits, because there is still plenty of time in the lap for Adrian Tishy. Conor Rochford, now the only man preparing to go on a qualifying run. He's the only man currently on an outlap, and it's Nathan Marriott and Adrian Tishy who are just bringing their cars home to the pit lane. But it'll be Conor Rochford who we are looking at heading in towards the final corner. Not starting that hot lap yet, still just getting final temperature into the tyres and just looking to get that car prepared. We're going to put on the telemetry here, and you can have a look at this new ERS system. You can see blasting the overtake button right down the main straight. That overtake button will run out pretty quickly, but it'll also give you the biggest straight line speed. So these drivers are not just doing this hot lap, they're also managing the battery while doing so. Second gear exit for Conor Rochford, short shifting up the gears, revving to the maximum, ensuring that he gets the most straight line speed out of it. You can see battery briefly regenning with that hot lap assistance. The hot lap mode will work in a normal sense for the lap. It's the overtake that drains it quickly, using the curbs very nicely indeed, is the Irishman. He said his goal for this season is to win a race. He wants to win an FVR Grand Prix, and following the footsteps of Nathan Marriott, who won his debut, or won his maiden race so far this season. You can see just briefly nicking the overtake button to give him a bit of a boost down the straight. You want to save as much battery as possible for the final sector here in Jeddah. A little bit wide there, you can see just bouncing over the large raised curb, keeping as much battery as you can, because once you click on that overtake button on a straight like this, that'll drain it. You can see just getting to the 30% mark. This is a decent lap so far for Rochford. Does need about 2/10 in this final sector if he wants to jump up the order. 11% on the battery now, presumably saving this for the final main straight. No, he's not. He's going to utilise a little bit now in towards the final corner, and downshifting to third gear rotation for turn 27, and getting back up the gears immediately once the DRS will come on. I'm assuming the ERS will come on as well. No, he's just opting for the hot lap straight line speed, and it'll be a 1/10 of a second down, unfortunately, for Rochford on this occasion, so he won't be able to jump up the order with that time. 2/10 of a second left, 2/10 of a second left in qualifying. No, 2 minutes left here in qualifying, and this is a man who we need to keep an eye on. Alessandro Soretti, currently third, but that lap was set on a slower medium compound of tyre, which would make me think there's at least 4 or 5 tenths of a second in this hot lap, maybe even 6 or 7 depending on how he hooks it up. In towards the first sector then goes the Mercedes. There is a slow Red Bull on the exit of the pit lane there. That is Julius Gasner, who gets out of the way of the Swiss driver effectively. In towards that first sector, not necessarily the quickest for Alessandro Soretti, but just managing the car nicely. He's utilising all his tools well, like we ran through with Conor Rochford, and you can see just bumping and banging over the curbs. Not as wide as Rochford through that left-hander, so that'll benefit him nicely. Doesn't utilise... oh yeah, he's way down on that lap. 1.8, so maybe just a second warm-up lap for Alessandro Soretti, but I knew he was going too slowly in that first sector. I still know how these cars work and how they should look. Thomas May in full push, purple in the first sector though. The Belgian driver is tracking well for pole position. Soretti will have one more bite of the cherry. This is a final attempt from Thomas Main, because he won't have the battery recharged in time to go for one more, and he's also burning up the best of his Pirelli soft compound tyres. Down towards the left and right hander, you can see blasting through there. Oh yes, there he goes round. Blasting through there indeed, and that's a 1/10 down the drain for the Ferrari. Way too quick in towards the corner in the Red Bull. Oh, that's so close. Was that Lewis McWilliam? No, Lewis remains in the garage. So the door is now wide open. Davison slowly improving on his time. Soretti is going to have another bite of the cherry. You can see full blast on the ERS, full blast in the overtake button, utilising it well down towards turn number 1. Davison needs a big middle sector here. Thomas Main had plenty in the tank. That's a banker time that he said, 27.6. Only came out for 2 laps in qualifying, and of course ended up binning one in through the turn 22 and 23 chicane. Let's see what the second sector split looks like for Davison. It is up. That's a 1/10 of a second improvement. That's an excellent first sector split from the Alpine. Second sector split is just from the Alpine. Let's see what the first sector split looks like for the Mercedes of Alessandro Soretti. He was way down on his first attempt on this soft compound tyre. He's way up on this one. This is a cracking lap from Alessandro Soretti building, but has the Alpine found enough in this final sector? Needs to push like he's never pushed before out of this final corner. Gets a smooth exit out of it, and across the line comes Tyler Davison. It's provisional pole position for now, but is that enough of an advantage over the fast-flying Swiss native of Alessandro Soretti? Luke Davies goes to fourth. Conor Rochford tracking a lot better than he was on the lap we went on board with. So we'll see what he does now. Up towards the start-finish line. Can he get close to his teammate? Maybe try lock out the front row. He won't. He'll remain sixth for the time being. Soretti is way up in that middle sector split. It all comes down to this final corner. If he loses a huge amount of time, he'll lose pole. If he can keep it smooth, pole position is all but his. In through the final corner. It looks A-OK from there. The exit's nice, and it's all biding well for the Mercedes. Alessandro Soretti to go purple here in qualifying. He'll take pole position for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. It's a 1:27.384 and an excellent lap indeed. The lap was delivered when it counted most. It'll be Soretti and Davison on the front row, Mercedes and Alpine, and there's a spin in the final corner for Julius Gassner, who won't be able to complete his time. Adrian Tisci rounding through the final corner. Don't believe on an improvement, no, heads into the pit lane. So Alessandro Soretti is on pole for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Tyler Davison in second, Thomas Main in third, ahead of Luke Davies in fourth, then it's Lewis McWilliam in fifth, Conor Rochford sixth, ahead of Nathan Marriott, Tim Denhire, Yafin Penguru and Bor Bune. Folks, we'll be back for a fantastic Saudi Arabian Grand Prix in a couple of moments.
This program is brought to you by Simulus Clothing, official title sponsors of Formula Virtual Racing. But wait, there's more. Check out the official Formula Virtual Racing merchandise line, out now exclusively to Simulus Clothing. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the program.
Welcome back, folks, to Saudi Arabia. Unfortunately, we will have a bit of a brief hiatus in between qualifying and the race. Turns out that the corner cutting settings were not exactly correct for qualifying. The grid will still stand because there's been no evidence of a no evidence of major corner cutting. I don't think anyone realised until the qualifying was actually over, to be fair. But they do realise now, and they would all do it for the race, so we're not going to be doing that. But there still will be a lobby restart. So we'll have a bit of a brief hiatus while we wait for all that to go. We can run you through the track real quickly, as you can see it on your screen. The 6.174 kilometre circuit, 3.836 miles. 27 corners, and then it is 16 to the left and 11 to the right. Lap record here set by Lewis Hamilton, of course, in 2021. Alessandro Soretti will have a 220 metre run from pole position to the first corner, and then he'll have a 79% full throttle lap for the rest of the race. 245 kilometres average speed is your average speed around this circuit. It's also the second longest circuit on the Formula 1 calendar, only behind Spa-Francorchamps, which is intriguing. It's actually not longer than Spa-Francorchamps, despite having more corners. Turn 13, the hairpin that you would have seen us mention a few times in the broadcast, is a 12-degree banking, 7 degrees less than Arilundijk Bocht at Zandvoort, which is the final corner. It is also the 13th largest country in the world based on landmass. We're hoping to have the restart sorted for you
fairly quickly, folks, and then the grid will be set. We can run you through the grid real quickly, actually, while we are waiting. It's, of course, Alessandro Soretti, who is on pole position. A great lap by the Mercedes, actually, to take that pole position, and Tyler Davison in second. Thomas Main then qualified third. Bottle on the last lap from him, unfortunately, wasn't able to set a time and spun heading through that turn 22-23 chicane. Luke Davies then qualified fourth ahead of Lewis McWilliam in fifth, the two old rivals there in fourth and fifth. Conor Rochford then qualified sixth, ahead of Nathan Marriott in seventh. Tim Den Heyer then in eighth, with the Atom Guru in ninth. Borbune in 10th, ahead of Julius Gassner in 11th. Tyler Pastilli in 12th, with Adrian Tishy in 13th. And it was Nils Hartl 14th, and of course Leroy Vincendel and Legend Rosenberg in 16th. I wonder what Legend can do from the back of the grid. Very interested to see what the four-time world champion can produce coming from the back. Thanks Kyle for ruining my evening. Saying Pato Award is out in Group 1. Fantastic. Fair play to the one-time race winner this season. And yeah, we do hope to get this race started shortly. So folks, we will be back in a couple of moments. Welcome back, folks, to Formula Virtual Racing. We will be going live in a couple of moments. We thought we had time for an interview with Tyler Davison. Turns out we don't. We'll be back for the race after our promotional video.
Okay, for real this time. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. We are actually getting ready to go racing. We are actually going to have a Grand Prix, I know. An FVR race starting in time, who would have thought of it? But we are live here in the pit boxes for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and we are getting ready to go racing. Let us know your predictions in the stream chat below. It's Alessandro Soretti and Tyler Davison on the front row for Mercedes and Alpine, respectively, here in the 75th venue to host a Formula 1 race, and God knows how many venue to host an FVR race. But we have an exciting prospect on our hands, potential safety cars, potential strategy implications. Last season, we had one of the closest podium finish in FVR history, so we'd like to repeat that once again. Nathan Marriott currently leads the championship standings ahead of Tyler Davison in second and Avesta Gobadi in third. That will have a big shuffle up, we feel, here tonight. Can Legend Rosenberg finally get some big points on the board? Can Luke Davies maybe repeat what he's done in the past here and take he's taken two Saudi Arabian Grand Prix victories? Can he maybe take a third? We're on the grid here in Jeddah. It's 4-5 red lights, and we go racing here in Saudi Arabia. That's a great race start from the pole sitter down towards turn number 1. That's a great race start from Thomas Main as well. He's looking to hang it around the outside, but there's no joy there for the Ferrari. The Alpine has got up the gears much better and has gone clean round the outside of Alessandro Soretti. Davison leads here in Jeddah. That's an excellent race start for him. They're on equal compounded tyres, so he will be able to get up to speed quickest and have some clean air through this fast-flowing first sector. Very dangerous first sector on cold tyres, this one. All the drivers managing it nicely. Legend Rosenberg already up 3 spots for Scuderia Ferrari, but he's under big pressure from Leroy van Schendel. Leroy will be living the high life now, putting the 4-time world champion under this amount of pressure down towards the left hand there. 0.2 of a second, 2.5 tenths of a second to be precise, separates 1 and 2 so far here in this big Grand Prix. Julius Gassner, your biggest loser of the opening lap so far, he's down 5 spots to 16th. All 3 Pirelli compounded tyres on display so far on this opening lap. The only going for the hard is Tyler Pistilli, who's getting past Adrian Tisci below. Thomas Main went for the softer compound on the race start. That's not paid off because the front 2 are flying in front of him. Don't be surprised if you see Soretti go for a move early on. He's got good pace around here, knows that. Took pole convincingly, and he's got that slipstream of the Alpine in front. Alessandro Soretti goes for the outside, down towards the hairpin. It's Tyler Davison on the inside, and Soretti makes it work. That's job done round the outside with a Mercedes. Tyler Davison will have to just sit and get that slipstream. I'm sure he won't be complaining in the slightest, but the Alpine has work to do. Soretti leads the opening lap, fastest lap to suit. Thomas Main dives down the inside of Tyler Davison, and the Ferrari gets up close and personal with the Alpine in towards the apex of the second corner. Main on the outside, that'll become the inside, but it's too dangerous to run too wide or even run the risk of running too wide in towards turn 4 in Saudi Arabia. That scrapping has benefited the Swissman of Alessandro Soretti, and it's not benefited the Canadian of Tyler Pistilli, who crashes in the same sector he crashed out in qualifying, and he becomes your first retirement of the season 13 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Virtual safety cards applied by the FIA, and Soretti's benefited from that gap because he's 1.2 seconds up the road. I think he's going to have to drop back on the delta. I'm not sure that's how the delta works, but top 5 as they run: Soretti, Davison, Main, Davies, McWilliam. Then it's Rochford, Marriott, Den Hire, Yathan Panguru. Borbune as DRS is enabled, and Davison has gotten the launch out of the Mercedes. He was on the exit of the corner. Soretti was halfway down the straight, and he'll claw back in nicely into that DRS window, which he'll pick up at the end of this lap. It's a changed DRS rule for this season in Formula 1. Of course, there's 1 lap less to activate the DRS assistance, which Lewis McWilliam is using nicely. Sorry, DRS already activated. It was activated at the end of the last lap. McWilliam was using that nicely towards the final corner, but backed out. Didn't fancy going side by side this early on in towards the treacherous turn 27. 0.8 of a second now for Soretti gained on this lap. He went for the move into the final corner on the last trip round, and he's already pulled a substantial gap over Tyler Davison. But I think Tyler will be thinking long run here. I think he'll be thinking championship just a little bit, because he's got a healthy advantage over, let's say, some of the quicker drivers in the field. But he does also know he's got to win a race. He's picked up 14 podiums in the last 2 seasons of Formula Virtual Racing, and he's not won a single one of them. So he needs to pick up the 22 maximum points
here or there. The 23, if he picked up a fastest lap, of course. Lewis McWilliam, I tell you what, you wouldn't think he's not raced for over 3 or 4 months. And his teammate, however you would, because that's Julius Gassner out of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. And the safety car's out for the first time here. And I can't imagine it's going to be the last time. But Julius Gassner is out of this Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. We have 2 DNFs very early on. One being Tyler Pistilli, one being Julius Gassner. And that is going to be unfortunate for Zauber, who was looking to pick up a strong points haul tonight. Unfortunately, he will not, and he will have to wait to pick up points for the first time this season for his Red Bull Racing team. Currently, oh no, sorry, apologies, he picked up a point in Belgium, didn't he? Because we only had 10 drivers, so he did pick up a point in Belgium. So he has picked up a point this season. He doesn't have to wait for that, but if he wants to pick up more than a singular, he does have to wait. Wonder will we see any pitters here? Most opting for the medium compound of tyres. Soretti stays out, Davison comes in. Thomas Main certainly coming in. That's a great call from him on the softs, because those softs won't last much longer. And you can see, slick pit stop for a Ferrari, and the hard tyres going for the majority who are pitting. So they obviously feel they can make the end of this. Which is doable. We did see a bit of extreme tyre wear in Belgium. Monza wasn't as bad. Jeddah, usually not too exhausting on the tyres. But we'll just have to wait and see, really, won't we? Can those hard tyres make the end at a decent pace? So we had 6 drivers who didn't pit. Alessandro Soretti, Lewis McWilliam, Conor Rochford, Nathan Marriott, Borbune, and Legend Rosenberg, all staying out on the circuit. Those who did come in were Tyler Davison, Thomas Main, Luke Davies, Tim Denhire, Yafin Penguru, Leroy Vinchendel, Niels Hartl, and Adrian Tishy. It's mediums for the top 3, then softs for Marriott, he's staying out, and mediums for Bune and Rosenberg. Then it's the hards all the way down, excluding Leroy Vinchendel, who went for a set of the mediums. They all have a set of hard tyres available, except Tyler Pistilli, because he started on his, but he's also out of the race, so I don't think he's going to be making another pit stop. But it leaves us at an intriguing prospect, this. It really does. Nathan Marriott, I'm surprised he stayed out on the softs. I thought he would have come into the pit lane, especially considering he doesn't have to double stack. He doesn't have a teammate in the race. So there was nothing really to be lost other than your usual pit stop time for Marriott. He has stayed out, maybe fancying track position. We know DRS and ERS is powerful. Looks like there's a bit of a dust storm or something over turn 27. Looks completely different from a driver perspective, but the off-board graphics are saying that it looks like a little bit of a dust storm or something. Safety car is staying out. Bernd Maylander is going to stay out for another couple of laps, or hopefully just the one more lap, and then we can get racing once again here in Saudi Arabia. Let us know down below your thoughts on the Grand Prix so far. Vesta just spouting some Italian out of him. Didn't think that man would want anything to do with Italy after his track record in Monza. He actually won the Italian Grand Prix as well in between 2 absolute disaster classes, which is probably more impressive than anything. Zauber reminding me that he does have points. Yes, apologies for that, Zauber. You did pick up a solitary point in Spa-Francorchamps, and fair play to you for that one. But unfortunately, Zauber is out of the race now, so won't be picking up anything further here tonight in Jeddah. Safety car will be in this lap, that goes without question. And will be Alessandro Soretti, who leads Lewis McWilliam. Can Lewis keep up with Alessandro? That's what I'm intrigued in. Can Lewis McWilliam keep up with Alessandro Soretti and potentially maybe maybe adjust to his strategy, maybe try and stick with the race leader, stick in the race lead fight. If it was a 5 or something car DRS train, you'd have more faith in them because there'd be others around them. But yeah, it'd be intriguing to see. Alessandro Soretti, we know he has the pace advantage in this one, and maybe can only be matched by a certain Ferrari in 6th place and a certain 4-time world champion at that. Let's wait and see. Then weaving, getting the tyres warmed very aggressively is Alessandro Soretti. Obviously feels it's necessary, and it probably well is. Safety car just heading for the final corner now. Soretti is going to try and catch out Lewis McWilliam here. Problem for Vicento. Oh, Leroy spun it. And that will be a front wing smacked all over the circuit. The safety car is still coming in, so it's not going to be an aborted safety car restart. We will still be going. It's just Leroy will unfortunately have to head straight back into the pit lane. Soretti doesn't go immediately off the final corner, and now we go racing once again here in Saudi Arabia. Lewis not caught out as much as he could have been. That's a great restart over the 4th place man, Nathan Marriott, getting the softs up to temperature a lot easier than the mediums in front of him. Is he able to go for moving towards the first corner? He's not. He's going to try flick around the outside of Conor Rochford, but that avenue does not open up, and Conor Rochford will defend the position for the time being. But Nathan is looking razor sharp here in this safety car restart, and he'll be looking to try and take advantage of maybe a couple of slower cars in front of him at the time being. Soretti is gone into the wind here, 0.8 of a second in this first sector alone, and that is a extreme gap that I can only imagine will be pulling away through the next couple of corners. What might save Lewis here is that slipstream down towards turn 22, but almost nicking that inside wall is Lewis McWilliam, and that's a half spin for the Scotsman, for the triple world champion. That won't help him at all here, as he is going to lose a DRS margin before the DRS is even opened, and this will allow Alessandro Soretti to run into the distance. Leroy is out of the race. Oh, this could bring back out the safety car. It'll bring out the virtual safety car, so no full safety car for the time being. They'll get that car cleared up before the pack catches round. Leroy crashing out of the pit lane, I believe. It's not a good start to the season for Leroy, unfortunately, in the Sauber, and he will retire and become the 3rd retirement from this race, the 3rd man who won't reach the full duration, the full 25 laps. Something telling me he won't be the last, just like I don't think this will be the last virtual safety car. This arguably helping Lewis McWilliam, because it's allowed him to get back within a second. If he plays his cards rightly here and manages the delta okay, he could stay within the second, because obviously they try and keep the virtual safety car as equal as possible, but you can't benefit from the delta. Doing that's not going to keep you within, as we see Legend Rosenberg dispatch fellow Dutchman Borbune fairly easily. He's now on the back of the World Championship leader, Nathan Marriott, in front, who he will have to sit behind for this entire first sector, and Nathan does seem to be struggling on these soft compounded tyres now. These were the tyres started on by the other Ferrari of Thomas Main, and you can see an initial drop-off. You can certainly see a drop-off now for Nathan Marriott, even though most of this stint has been done under the safety car or the virtual safety car. But Legend still keeps in nicely and is still gaining in this race. Tyler Davison jumps up ahead of Borbune, and the only thing here now is these pitters are starting to cut into the non-pitting field. Tyler, in theory, is behind Legend on the circuit, but Legend still has to make a mandatory pit stop. Tyler saved all the time lost for a green flag pit stop because he pit under the safety car. Now, there's nothing saying that Legend can't pit under the safety car either, but he would fall behind Davison no matter what. What Legend just needs to hope for is that Tyler also has to come into the pit lane, because the tyre deficit will be too significant. But that is a story for the long run. You can see Rosenberg gets past Marriott. Thomas Main gets past Borbune. Luke Davies going to try and follow through and get past his old firing partner and get past his old teammate. Main a little bit wide in towards that final corner. Luke Davies also sneaking up the inside. That could have been a dangerous game to play, especially with, let's say, a man who you're not so friendly with in front. You can see Conor Rochford gets past Lewis McWilliam. Lewis just struggling maybe with the lack of experience of race pace and certainly deep race territory, which we are slowly getting into here on the 8-lap of proceedings in tonight's Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Nathan Marriott is just losing time slowly on that soft compound tyres, and I can't imagine it's going to be close. I can't imagine it's going to be a long time, I should say, until his old FVR GT Championship teammate gets past them in the form of Tyler Davison. They both represented No Name racing in the FVR GT Championship this season, and picked up a decent Constructors' Championship result. But there is no friendly nature here as they run 1 and 2 in the FVR F1 World Drivers' Championship. Nathan, of course, being the one who leads that coming into this evening with 34 points out of 32. Thomas Main is keeping with Tyler. He'd love to win back in his Ferrari, the car that he had so much success in winning Monaco Grand Prix, Canadian Grand Prix. Lewis getting back past Conor Rochford. That's a peculiar one. Usually when you get in front, you get in front here. But of course there's no DRS or slipstream for whatever car is in front in this battle because of that extreme pace for Alessandro Soretti. Here comes Conor Rochford trying it back round the outside. Tyler Davison trying it round the outside of Nathan Marriott, and Rochford and McWilliam committing into the corner. There's a bit of debris gone astray somewhere in that battle. Was it the front wing of the Alpine or was it the front wing of the Red Bull? But Legend Rosenberg has the overspeed now and tucks into the slipstream of the quicker car. That is Conor Rochford. Is he going to try dive down the inside? He isn't. But look at his teammate in the background of Thomas Main trying the Davison dummy on Davison. You've got to be a bit smarter than that if you want to pull out a movie created on him. Is Thomas Main going to try it down the inside? He is not, and will have to stay behind, but that's a little bit wide from the Alpine in front. And there goes Borbjörn. Becomes the 4th retirement in this one, and just as we're getting into a nice race flow, the safety car does come out. I wonder, does Niels Hartl have some form? No, he doesn't. That's Borbjörn gone completely on his own. That is completely on his own for him. Alessandro Soretti had a 7-second gap. And the safety car's just come out. I think... do you remember last season when Legend had a rant after every race about how the safety cars were ruining his races? I think Alessandro might be in agreement with him because he was gone. He could almost pull out a green flag pit stop gap. But not really anymore because we're almost at the halfway point in this race. And Alessandro Soretti will have to be punched back up with the pack. It'll be interesting to see what the pitters do. And does anyone come into the pit lane? I can imagine the top 4 will. And maybe go for a fresher set of hards to the end of the race. I don't really see why they wouldn't unless they're holding out for a set of softs come the end of the race and they want to do a medium soft, but I think they'd be a fool not to pit. Here comes Alessandro Soretti in. Let's see, is the good stop for the Mercedes crew. Rochford is in, as is Legend Rosenberg, as is Lewis McWilliam, yeah. As Tyler Davison will take the lead then of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, opting for track position over fresher tyres. Realistically could have gone for a set of mediums to the end, but choosing not to. Okay, here we go. Here's where the shenanigans start. Thomas Main is double stacking with Legend Rosenberg. Lewis comes back into the pit, Lewis pits for the first time, I should say. He's ended up well down the order. He's behind Legend now. Nathan Marriott comes in. Thomas going for a set of the medium. So all but one car is on the hard tyre. The only thing is, track position now crucial in this race. And somehow Yafan Penguro's 4th. Yafan is this kind of driver, I suppose. He just ends up places. You don't notice him for the first 10 laps of a race, and then he's in 4th with a decent shot at a podium, maybe. I think he will be dispatched fairly quickly by Alessandro Soretti, but that's a story for 2 laps' time. Tyler Davison leads the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix once again. Remember, him and Luke Davies share... Oh, that was so close to a collision. Him and Luke Davies shared the podium last season. After a post-race penalty for Leroy Van Schendel. Cam Dulger was the 3rd driver on that day. Currently, Tim Den Hire. Tim and Cam, both Constructors champions. Tim, of course, teammate to Legend in season 11, and Cam, teammate to Luke in season 10. The whole pack is here. I wonder could we get the safety car in this lap. Usually it stays out for 2 laps, but if we could get it in for this lap and get racing once again, I think everyone would enjoy that. I don't think there'd be any frowns towards that, but the safety car does seem to be staying out because it has passed the safety car line. It was well coming into the box on its last trip around the last time it came out, so it does seem like the safety car is staying out for one more lap. We'll be back in a second, folks. This program is brought to you by Simulus Clothing, official title sponsors of Formula Virtual Racing. But wait, there's more. Check out the official Formula Virtual Racing merchandise line out now exclusively to Simulus Clothing. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the program. Remember, if you want to get some official Formula Virtual merchandise, you can do so all on the Simulus Clothing. The t-shirts are cool. I still wear mine. It's very good quality and it's quite comfortable as well. So you can definitely purchase one. Yaffa asking to red flags. Zauber asking, can he be co-com? That might be that might be the end of the YouTube channel, in all honesty, and I say that with the utmost respect. We'd end up becoming a Taylor Swift sing-along with Zauber in the commentary box. No, we do hope to have a permanent co-commentator soon. Unfortunately, Brendan's gone off to the big world now, so we've lost him. He's living his best life. I am sure he'll return at one point this season. It's just that every other co-commentator in FVR didn't buy the game. I wasn't going to at one point, and then I realised, hold on a second, I own the league. I kind of have to. I don't really have a choice. So that's why you still have streams. But yeah, that's the situation. If you'd like to apply to become an FVR co-commentator, or just commentator for the weeks I'm missing, please feel free to. We had Adam Liu doing, I can't remember how to say it. Someone told me how to do it during Indy 250, but I've forgotten. We had him doing a fabulous job last week with... I don't know if he was with Nils Hartland or not, I haven't watched the stream, but he did a fabulous job last week. You all enjoyed very, very much. Safety car is in this lap then, on lap 11 out of 25. Oh my goodness me, we're not even halfway through this race yet, but we will be at the halfway point fairly soon, and it'll be a different driver conducting this safety car restart. It was Alessandro Soretti the first time round. It is Tyler Davison on this time round. Keep an eye out for Alessandro Soretti. He's in 5th place on fresh tyres, and looking to cut through the 4 in front of him to retake the race lead for Mercedes. Here we go then. Davison needs to time this perfectly as he wants to try and bolt away in the first sector, just like Soretti did to Lewis McWilliam on the last safety car restart. And now we go racing here at the Jeddah Corniche circuit. What a restart for Tim Denhire, looking to get the jump on Luke Davies down towards the first corner. The Alpine is away in the front. Denhire not able to get the job done, and look at that lunge from Alessandro Soretti. There is no neutrality about the Swissman here tonight, cutting past the Athenpan guru like a knife through butter. Connor Rochford able to stay in front of Nils Hartl, who got very close to the Alpine. McLaren currently bottom of the constructors standings, neither driver wanting that to remain. Legend Rosenberg now stuck behind Adrian Tisci for a short while, but I imagine he'll get past in towards turn number 13. A brilliant onboard shot this of the Ferrari. Is it going to be the outside or the inside? Adrian defending the inside, actually not giving Legend that inside line. Stubborn is Adrian, and Adrian Tisci will stay ahead, and now this allows Thomas Main to try round the outside, but Legend Rosenberg sneaks through one nonetheless, and they're free wide on the exit. Adrian Tisci putting it up to the 4-time world champion here, and he's got to keep the car down the inside. Oh, how have they survived that one? Almost drastic, heading through the high speed turn number 16. Somehow both the Ferraris have got through on the Canadian of Adrian Tisci. That was all elbows out by the 3, and some great racing, near drastic racing, but great racing indeed. Next up for Legend Rosenberg, it is Nils Hartl. As Lewis McWilliam does get past Adrian Tisci, so that's another multiple world champion gone past Adrian Tisci, and he unfortunately will have to just tuck into that TRS train and try and keep the advantage at the front. Already a is that a regeneration light? Have they changed how that works? Could have sworn I saw Luke regenning down the straight, but they might have just changed when that light flashes. Does that flash in night races now? I don't know, but Luke is not regenerating. He has plenty of battery, and he is right behind his fellow Brit in front. And these two, although have never been teammates in Formula Virtual Racing, they won multiple World Championships together in the Formula Virtual Racing Academy. It was Tyler who won the Drivers' Championships on that occasion, but Luke a good supporting anchor. Luke the only one of the two to win in the main tier. So there is split thoughts probably on that statistic. Luke may be feeling the pressure of Alessandro Soretti right behind him though, and the Mercedes is looking to try and get past Luke Davies. Luke under pressure here. This could be a time to pounce for Alessandro Soretti, and look at him almost bumping past the McLaren driver. He's not going to get past Luke Davies that easy. Luke has been in title battles with Legend and Lewis. He knows all about aggressive driving and he knows how to counteract it. He does have DRS and slipstream from Davison in front. That'll be very much beneficial to the McLaren in his attempt to keep Alessandro Soretti behind. The top three separated by under half a tenth of a second, and you can see there the Williams of Tim Den Hyer in the background under pressure from Conor Rochford. Defence is the best, or attack is the best form of defence for Luke Davies, who gets past Davison, and Soretti is going to follow suit. Soretti's going to go for broke in towards the first corner. It's a double move for Alessandro Soretti, who gets the job done on both the McLaren and gets the job done on both the Alpine. Big job here for Luke Davies. Got to keep with Soretti in this first sector, otherwise this race could be curtains for himself and for Tyler Davison. Tyler's just been bumped to the back because of the slipstream and DRS shenanigans. Luke Davies with a big job to do here, and you gotta say, this first sector is where Soretti makes his difference, isn't it? Just blisteringly quick, insane through that first section of track. And the Mercedes almost pulling that 1 second. Luke will get in the battery button. Alessandro does have less than him, so that's still good for Luke Davies. That keeps the advantage in his hand, and you can see the Mercedes moving mid-corner even, just pushing to try and get that second gap, which he's got over Luke Davies. And you can see how a second doesn't look like a lot from this beautiful helicopter camera, but it is a crucial gap that these racing drivers all want, because that does mean that there's no DRS for the driver behind. But this long straight from pretty much turn 18 down towards turn 27, there is of course that chicane in the middle of it, does bode nicely for the car behind, and that keeps Luke well within slipstream. He's been in battles with a Vestigo baddie around here before. He knows well how to win the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and he'll put that experience to show against Alessandro Soretti. The battle for fourth, for the best of the rest, some could say, is spicing up, and I haven't noticed it, but there's been a problem for Legend Rosenberg, who is down to 12th place here in the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Oh my goodness me, it's all chaos occurring at the first corner. It's Main, Den Hyer, Rochford, Penguru, all side by side. Thomas Main coming out on top with Tim Den Hyer in 5th place, and there's Yathan Penguru diving up the inside of Conor Rochford. Nice moves from Yathan. Rochford down in 7th with Lewis McWilliam here in 8th. Apologies for not finding out what happened to Legend Rosenberg, and Lewis has been slightly kidnapped by the sausage curb there. The car just skating off in a straight line, but he does recover it well. Legend's into the pit lane. Is he gonna bow out of this one? He's missing two front wing end plates, one on either side, so he has hit the wall somewhere. I wonder, did Rosenberg pick up damage in that battle with Adrian Tisci? He could well have. It was scrappy, could well have done so. That might be the separating factor here for Legend, but he's not down and out of the championship just yet, but he would have a significant points haul to gain, because he's not getting points in this one, and Tyler Davison on track for a podium of some sort. Lewis, 1 minute looks like he's heading into the wall, next minute is overtaking drivers. And if I said that perfectly describes Lewis McWilliam's career, long-term FVR fans would probably agree with me, because it's usually he's usually one of the best drivers in the field, or he's doing that and having a half spin out of the final corner, and that'll invite the Wexford native to get past Lewis McWilliam in towards the first corner. Not even using the battery is Rochford. I imagine McWilliam is. Lewis on good tyres, actually. He's on 5-lap mediums, the second best in the field. Only Legend Rosenberg, who's 53 seconds off Adrian Tisci, is on the mediums. If you crop, oh, Adrian, big wobble off the first corner. If you cropped the second one out of 11 and 12, you could, in theory, claim that Adrian was leading by 53 seconds over Legend Rosenberg at some point. Whether you want to go out of your way in doing that, that's not my issue. But up the front, it's seeming like the fresher tyres are paying off nicely for Alessandro Soretti. Luke's doing a great job, absolute fabulous job behind, but he's not getting close, and you gotta get close if you want to overtake, and especially given the advantages to the car behind that this circuit does give. you've got to realistically be within half a second to get it done in towards the final corner. Tim Den Heijer and Yathin Panguru side by side. Oh, it's wheel banging between the German and the Dutchman, and Tim Den Heijer will brave it out in front and stay ahead of Yathin Panguru. He's got a 3-second penalty to work with now, so it does need to be 3 seconds in front of a car to keep that position over. Here is Lewis McWilliam. Look at him just weaving in that Red Bull behind the luminous green Kick Sauber. You can see that Sauber from a mile away in this Jeddah night sky. The stars are shining, and I don't mean the ones on the racing circuit, because I tell you what, it's been a corker so far this, and Yathin Panguru is looking to make it even more interesting with a move on Tim Den Heijer in towards the first corner. Lewis McWilliam is going to go for broke as well. Look at this weaving in towards the first corner, and this contact between the Williams and the Sauber. They're now free wide on exit. Tim looking to give Lewis the shove, but that's not going to work, and Lewis McWilliam shows his class, shows his quality, and shows he's still got it in him. That was brave, it was brilliant. It has gifted him P5 in this race, and now a real chance to hunt down Thomas Main in front. He was given a bit of assistance as well in terms of pushing and shoving between Yathin Panguru and Tim Den Heijer, but certainly that's an exquisite move from Lewis McWilliam, and he gets the job done. That gap up at the front goes over a second every lap, but Luke is just doing enough to keep Alessandro Soretti within his grasp. And the more time that goes on, the less tyre advantage that Alessandro will have over Luke, because Luke's tyres probably feel horrible by now, but Alessandro's will be feeling more horrible as the laps go on, and if they're both on horrible tyres, then neither really has an advantage. They're just both on terrible tyres. They won't be... There was not different stages of horrible, and I think that's what Luke and Tyler are waiting out for, because Alessandro's not gaining as much in that first sector as he was maybe in previous laps. Championship leader Nathan Marriott gets ahead of Tim Den Heijer, who I wonder has he picked up some damage somewhere within this battle with Lewis McWilliam, with Yathin Panguru, because he's fallen off significantly. We will try get a look at the Williams as he heads round the first sector. Yep, there's an end plate missing there for Tim Den Heijer. And that'll be the explanation of that. That'll be what's causing him to lose significant time here in this Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Tyler Davison has a nice amount of ERS on board, I think. He doesn't really have to burn it as much because he's the pace to keep up with Luke Davies. Luke has to burn it because he's trying to keep up with a quicker driver in the form of Alessandro Soretti, and I said Luke was just doing enough to keep within that gap. Unfortunately, that has been technically a commentator's curse. Gap is now 1.4, and this is going to allow Soretti to extend his gap, and this is going to allow Tyler Davison to get in front of Luke Davies. I wonder, is this tactical? I wonder, are the Alpine and the McLaren working together? Because realistically, you'd put Tyler in front now to try and get back within 1 second of Alessandro Soretti, so they both get DRS and they could both still win this Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. But Luke is on the attack, so I can't imagine that's true in the slightest. Definitely some form of communication between the two, but they are foes before friends on the racing circuit, friends before foes off it. That is for sure. They'll scrap, they'll fight, and they will put up a good entertainment to everybody watching at home. A bit like Max Verstappen and Lando Norris in a way, except, well, one of these isn't significantly better than the other. I don't know, sue me if you want to, but all know it's facts. That's Conor Rochford, 0.8 of a second off Lewis McWilliam. I do like Lando Norris, by the way. Just thought I should specify in case there's any Norris fans who are just tuning in to FVR for the first time. Please stay. Tim Den Heijer, you can just see him losing not too much time to Nathan Marriott, actually, but certainly a lot of time to Yathin Panguru, who's in front of Nathan Marriott. So that is a disappointing prospect there for Tim Den Heijer. He was looking like he was going to pick up a big point, so fair play to Legend Rosenberg, by the way, who's still tracking around in the back in case a safety car comes out. Usually if a driver ends 54 seconds behind the field, they'll kind of just jack it in, especially if you're a man who's used to being out in the front and leading races. There's nothing really attractive for hanging around in 12th, but Legend
obviously still finds some purpose in it in case a late safety car comes out that puts him back within contention. 2 seconds to gap between Alessandro Soretti and Tyler Davison. It's looking all but confirmed for the Swissman. He just needs 5 steady laps home, or 6 steady laps home to the finish, and he'll win this Grand Prix. The real battle is here for second and third. Whether Tyler finishes second or third, he will take the championship lead. He will take the FVR World Championship lead. But Luke needs every point he can get at this point, because he was on for a potential win in Monza, and that quite literally got swiped away from him in a collision with Sam Faith on the final lap, which coincidentally then handed the win to Nathan Marriott, who took the World Championship lead. But I think a second place and beating Tyler will be a confidence booster for Luke Davies. Not saying that he won't get a confidence booster from finishing third, but certainly beating a rival will help him become more confident as he drives the car more. Says he is growing into this machine. Definitely wasn't a fan of it at the beginning of the game cycle, but he is slowly growing into this McLaren more. Not the McLaren, more the game, which is good to see. It always helps when you're enjoying your racing, and Luke certainly always has. And he is enjoying this move down the inside by Luke Davies. A year older now than when you last saw him in Saudi Arabia, and his experience is, as always, very, very high up. Luke actually, for his birthday, got a birthday cake of his driver logo, which is very cool. I asked Luke to send you a photo of it. It is very, very, very cool, which you can... which is not really relevant to this race in any shape or form, but it's another Luke Davies fun fact for the Luke fans at home, which do exist, by the way. Luke actually is probably the most supported driver in Formula Virtual Racing. You can ask him about that as well. There'll be a couple of interesting stories there. Lewis McWilliam not able to get past Conor Rochford. It is a former Red Bull driver battling a former Red Bull driver who's in a Red Bull for this evening. Conor Rochford, of course, a Constructors' champion with Red Bull. Lewis McWilliam, a Drivers' champion with Red Bull. Didn't quite win the Constructors because he did have Luke Davies and Bourbion battling with him that season. He had Adrian Tisci alongside, and they came close, Red Bull, but unfortunately we're not able to take the Constructors' Championship. Or did they? They might have, now that I think about it, because wasn't that the season where Lewis openly said... No, sorry, I'm thinking of the season before. Lewis openly said one season, he was like... No, Red Bull did. It was that one. He openly said, oh yeah, this is the easiest Constructors' Championship ever for Luke Davies, and then went and won it single-handedly, and he's just got ahead of Conor Rochford single-handedly as well. Davison and Davies swap at the front. McWilliam and Rochford swap for 5th. That is a good move from Lewis, but Conor is going to fight it back. Doesn't fancy staying behind by any stretch of the imagination, and Lewis doesn't fancy either. Big dive down the inside by the Red Bull on the medium. Got better tyres, and he's had a slide. I wonder, would Lewis not be better just sitting behind through the final corner and then getting the launch down towards the first corner? He might still get it down towards the first corner, even with that slide. That's how powerful the slipstream is. Lewis McWilliam trying to dive it down the inside on Conor Rochford. Locks the front right, but still gets it stopped. And the Scotsman with another classic move in towards the first corner, the first chicane. And he's ahead now. Should be able to hopefully pull a gap in this first sector, because he is on better tyres. He's on the better tyres here in this battle. And he does stay in front for now. Great moves from Lewis here today. Hope he's enjoying his time in his one-off appearance. Going to drive an actual Ferrari around Imola in a couple of days' time is Lewis. So let's hope his sim racing skills can transfer into the real world. He's never won at Imola in Formula Virtual Racing, but admittedly we've not raced at Imola an awful lot, so he hasn't had much chances really. It's a very British held win, is the FVR Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. Preston Brennan, Luke Davies both winning it in the past. I'm sure there's been more as well, but oh yeah, there has. It was Luke who won twice in Imola actually, just like Saudi Arabia, because Lewis lost it due to a pedal issue back in season 10. Leo Vicenna remembers that one fondly. Here is Luke Davies going for the move in towards the first corner of Tyler Davison. They've seen Alessandro Soretti just hit the front, and they are now just squabbling for their own fight. But they got to be careful, because Thomas Main is slowly catching behind. 2.3 the gap between Tyler Davison and Thomas Main. They can't squabble too much,
Otherwise, Thomas will get that move. These two side by side at it as well. Lewis McWilliam and Conor Rochford. Lewis in the same position he was in the last lap, but a lot closer alongside Conor Rochford. Lewis looks like he could lose the car at any moment, but that might just be the setup he's running. Rochford has to go across the curb. There was no space left there by Lewis McWilliam. Stewards, I wonder will they have a look at that, but certainly McWilliam coming out on top. 2 into that section of track doesn't really go. And I also need to know the suspension on that Alpine, because my goodness me, is Conor Rochford pounding it off the curbs, like to an extreme extent. He was doing it in qualifying as well, and if you did that in real life, you would spin and crash into the wall, just like we've seen 4 drivers do here today, unfortunately. Borbune, Leroy Vincendel, Julius Gassner and Tyler Pistilli. 2 more laps to go then. 2 more laps for Davies and Davison to fight it out. 2 more laps for Thomas Main to potentially steal a podium. 2 more laps for Legend Rosenberg to hope for a safety car. Although he will pick up a point for that. Oh, no he won't. He just got the fastest lap and it's been pipped by Alessandro Soretti. So Legend won't get the fastest lap point. Here comes Tyler Davison. Went for the move on the penultimate lap of the Belgian Grand Prix and lost that win. I wonder will he regret his decision here in Saudi Arabia. The only thing is that he's going to assume Luke will take the lead in towards turn number 1 on the next lap, and then he can get the run down towards turn number 27 on that next lap. Thomas Main out of the podium fight as he's picked up a 3-second time penalty. That won't affect his position, however, because he does have a 9.6 buffer right behind him, so there'll be no effect there for Thomas Main. Conor Rochford just looking to keep with Lewis McWilliam, but it seems like Lewis is starting to stretch his legs a tad, and he's getting back into that old consistency that he's well known for. To be fair, he does have to be wary because Conor Rochford has more battery than a Tesla factory, and he is very much healthy on the lithium-ion front. As we do see Nils Hartl pick up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Alessandro Soretti, world of his own, and heading on towards the final lap. It'll be 3 from 3 in his career, and a 3rd career victory for the Swissman, unless he plants it into the Aramco on the final lap, which I can't really see happening. He could coast around 5 seconds a lap slower for this next lap, and still win the race. This is the real interesting battle though. Davison, Davies, Main. Main obviously has that penalty, but we've seen penalties removed in the past. It's a similar scenario to last season for these two, because they of course had that photo finish for second, that then became the photo finish for the win after a sole leader at the front picked up a post-race time penalty. I can't see why Alessandro Soretti would pick up a post-race time penalty, but certainly Davies and Davison will be hoping for that one. Luke is biding his time now, wants to wait for the final corner. There's a whole chunk of ERS on board for both of these drivers, and this could be very much championship deciding in the long run if it was at a similar situation to what we had last season. Thomas Main just creeping up right behind Luke Davies. He could really become a spanner in the works here if he was to throw himself into a fight that he's not really in due to that penalty. Luke getting very close to the wall. This is the last time through this sector, so you're going to maximise your lines. Alessandro Soretti gaining another second over the pack. The Swissman will win the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. The real fight is this one for second, where they're going to go scrapping all the way down to turn number 27 on the final lap of this race. Davies, has he got a good enough exit? Yes, he has. How's Davison going to defend here? It'll be all elbows out. That is without question. We expect nothing less from the Alpine. In towards the final corner now. He'll defend the inside line. Davies shoots for the outside, maybe going for exit over entry, and he's going to try the switchback up the inside. It's a beautiful switcheroo from the McLaren. It's up, it's under, and he has sent the Alpine to the shops. Luke Davies will take second, Tyler Davison third, Thomas Main in fourth, Alessandro Soretti getting that win, of course. Lewis McWilliam will just about beat Conor Rochford for fifth. A cracking scrap between them two all the way to the death. Nathan Marriott, is he going to be able to pip Tim Den Higher? These two both walking wounded at this point, but they've both somehow caught up to Yathan Penguru. Nathan Marriott 7th, Yathan Penguru 8th, Tim Den Higher 9th, and it will be Nils Hartl for McLaren who comes home and takes 10th. Legend Rosenberg, I believe, has pipped the fastest lap. He has, so it'll still be a point for his troubles
in the form of Legend Rosenberg. He will saunter on home and just manage the car. It's not ideal for him, but it's a solitary point that he wouldn't have got otherwise. And a disappointing day for Ferrari in the end, as they probably should have got at least one car onto the podium. Thomas has left the session, but he will still get his classified finish of 4th. That won't change. Ziathan very happy with his 8th place, it seems. Legend is just still coming around to finish the race, but what a drive from this man, Alessandro Soretti. If he committed to a main seat, he would definitely be a championship contender. 100% would be a championship contender. I think that goes without question almost at this point. And here it is then, the Swiss native will stand tall on the podium for a 3rd time in his Formula Virtual Racing career. Your full race results from Saudi Arabia, then it is Alessandro Soretti who takes the win ahead of Luke Davies and Tyler Davison. It's then Thomas Main in 4th, Lewis McWilliam in 5th, Conor Rochford in 6th, Nathan Marriott in 7th, Yafin Penguru takes 8th with Tim Denhire in 9th, Nils Hartle then taking the final points paying position in 10th place. Let's go for a few interviews then and bring in your 2nd and 3rd place drivers, Luke Davies and Tyler Davison. Luke has just left the call as soon as he's joined, but we do have one man who we were supposed to talk to before. Oh no, here's Luke back. Let's start with the 2nd place man. Luke, great move in towards the final corner. Was it reminiscent of your season 10 overtake? Or season 9 maybe? Hello Luke, can you hear us?
Oh, hello, sorry. I only joined halfway through that.
Oh, apologies.
PlayStation messed up. Sorry, my bad.
Great move into the final
the
corner. Was it reminiscent of your championship winning overtake?
Yeah, no, at the time I was, I was really like, this is played out very similar, obviously, not for P1 and not for a championship, but no, it was a brilliant race, I think, from me. That move was pretty. That was a pretty big move. It's difficult to get the car stopped, and I think Tyler had the issue in this game. It's just stupid with the old tyres, but happy to get the P2 first podium of the season. Hope there's many more to come, but yeah.
Then, in terms of long run now, you both have we'll stick with you, Luke, for the time being, but you have a significant, say, points lead over Legend now. Does that bode nicely into a championship challenge, or is there other drivers that you see in your path?
Well, obviously I've not had the greatest starts to the season last week, obviously, but didn't attend round 1. To be honest, I'd say if I can't attend next week as well, which is annoying, but I think if I could have attended Spa and I could have attended next week, I think, and obviously if Monza hadn't gone the way it had, I think I'd be right stuck in there. So I think probably, to be honest, I think I just need to learn this game really well. Hopefully, just regather myself, recollect myself the rest of the season. Just look for individual results. Obviously, help Nils out with the constructors. Just maximise what I can every day. But I'll probably look to come back next season maybe if I can attend all the races. I'm being incredibly happy with both performances I've had. I've honestly not expected to be where I am position-wise. I mean, I'm not there pace-wise. Quality shows that, and I think today Alessandro broke. He was incredibly quick, but I didn't keep DRS with him. Yeah, I think I'm probably a bit too far back, but I'll just rebuild, regather myself, and I'll be able to fight for it in the future.
It's round 3, and this man is thinking of next season. Thank you very much, Luke, nonetheless. Good to hear your thoughts after that one. We'll hand over to the third place man, Tyler Davis. And Tyler, maybe not your proudest moment for the final corner being switched back by Luke?
No, not really, but I mean, I'm thinking of ahead and stuff. I am debating, I'm just thinking about the season 48 championship, which is the reason I let Luke through. But no, look, yeah, I'm not proud of it, but I mean, look, I didn't think I'd be racing today, so to get P3's a lot more points than 0 for not turning up. So I'm happy with the result. Could have gone better, but I'm happy.
Championship leader now for the first time in your career. Is it nice to finally get over that hurdle?
Yeah, it's a monkey off a back, I suppose. Yeah, look, it's fallen quite nicely for me this season up to now, I can't lie. I'm still expecting Legends to come and win 12 races in a row of the last 7. Yeah, so I'm just going to play it race by race, I think, but 3 podiums in 3 races. I can't complain with the position I'm in at the moment.
Is there going to be a win coming at some point this season?
Well, I mean, I've been waiting for this win for about 2.5 seasons now, mate, so fingers crossed, but I think that's now 15 podiums without a win. So look, consistency wins the championships. So if I could keep it aiming to get in the podium positions, if one race might fall my way, but I'd be more than happy to score 10 podiums without a win this season, to be honest.
Tyler, thank you very much for joining us. We are actually going to hear from the race winner now, so let's bring in Alessandro, who has immediately left, just like every driver does for some reason, making this an awfully awkward affair. We do hope to get Alessandro in the next couple of moments, but you can catch more Formula Virtual Racing action coming up as soon as next week, of course, where we head to Sao Paulo, Brazil for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Let's try bring Alessandro back in. Fantastic, absolutely excellent, going extremely swimmingly as Zauber's waiting for an interview once again. For those who don't know, Zauber waits for an interview every single week, and I couldn't tell you why, really. But if you do want more Formula Virtual Racing action, you can certainly find it. We have some interesting plans for the FVR GT Championship coming up in a few weeks' time. It's not necessarily your traditional GT Championship, so it's definitely something that you might want to be a part of. Nathan Marriott working tirelessly, well, not really, but Nathan working behind the scenes to try and get things up and running. And it's one of those funky championships that works very well in Formula Virtual Racing, kind of like the FS or whatever it used to be called. I don't think we're going to hear from Alessandro, unfortunately, folks, so we will have to leave it there. You can catch us same time, same place next week. It'll be 8 o'clock for the Brazilian Grand Prix, and we very much look forward to having your company. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and check out all our social channels for more Formula Virtual Racing content. Stay safe, stay well, and we shall leave you with a word from our sponsors. Bye-bye.
This program is brought to you by Simulus Clothing, official title sponsors of Formula Virtual Racing. But wait, there's more. Check out the official Formula Virtual Racing merchandise line out now exclusively to Simulus Clothing. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the program.
Maybe it's my own fault. Maybe I led you to believe my highlights started on the podium and not in practice.
The legend Rosenberg is a 4-time champion of the world.
Maybe I made you think that every race I did, I won.
2 litres in the tank for legend Rosenberg, rounding through the final corner. Does the greatest who ever do it, but if he doesn't, Scudson David steals it at the yard of bricks.
Maybe it's my fault that you think I'm unbeatable. Maybe I led you to believe that championships were given to me and not something I worked for every single day. Maybe I destroyed the league, or maybe you're just making excuses. Maybe you can beat me. Come and try.